portion of the show,
Hi,
and we're live.
We're live. Hey, I'm Don Stroud on Drink Spin Run, an RPG talk show. I tried to change it up there, and I really confused myself.
You got really close.
I was going for a fresh air Terry Gross thing, reversing it, you know.
Good.
With me is my fabulous co-host, Adam Muskevich.
It sounds like I leveled up there. I'm fabulous now. That's great. Hi, folks. I'm Adam. And tonight's special guest with us is the fantastic Miss Stacy Dellorfano, star of stage, screen, and song, or ConTessa and Swords and Wizardry, and G+ stuff, along with other stuff. Stacy, thank you so much for being here.
thank you for having me. It's always fun to be here.
I'm so glad that you have fun here. So let's go ahead and let's get things started. Stacy,
right.
What are you drinking?
Coke Zero. Actually, it's caffeine-free Coke Zero even, so if we want to go deeper into the boring drink category,
Wow, yeah.
I'm still recovering.
So Katie's been. That's what I'm gonna say. Katie was reading your post earlier, like I was, and she's like, "You think Stacy's gonna feel like drinking tonight? It sounds like she needs some rest."
I almost made like a version of a Bellini with some strawberry stuff in it, just so that I could have a free drink that I would like. But then I was just like, no. I'm good with my Coke Zero.
Okay, good. Yeah,
Cool.
No pressure from us to drink anything but that. We've had far more boring drinks consumed on our
Have
show.
you really? Has anybody brought water?
No.
Oh yeah, Don a couple times.
I
Oh,
haven't just had water, have I? No.
No.
James
No, we had
milk.
milk! Wow.
Yeah.
what?
Well, it was like 4 in the
that?
morning. James Raggi.
Oh well.
Oh yeah, James Raggi was drinking milk. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, that's really. I mean, I really expected it to be like Yak's milk or something like that. I mean, it's cheap. It's gotta be somewhere. It's
Yak's milk.
because
I
they
talked
have
to him-
Yaks in Finland.
I talked to him briefly at GenCon, and the first thing he said was, "Hey, I'm glad to see these American milk cartons," or maybe he was unglad. I didn't really pay attention because I didn't know about. I mean, I see all kinds of milk cartons, so.
It was a huge culture shock to come back to the U.S. and then to go to a grocery store, and he said because they were plastic milk cartons, because everything I guess is cardboard over there.
Oh, see, I always buy the cardboard
Mm.
anyway, because it tastes better.
Well,
It doesn't taste any different.
I was gonna
It
say
does.
I'm not
The
gonna argue
light-
with the milk thing.
The light does something.
But you
for
can-
proteins, I'm sure.
Well, you
Aren't
can
there some- aren't there-
plastic?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
Yeah.
Aren't there countries where you can get like bags of milk on the
Yes.
shelf, like they're not even refrigerated.
Yes.
Like an
So,
udder.
I mean,
like they're
Like,
just
vacuum
yes,
sealed
yep.
bags.
They shape it like an udder too, so you just
no.
there's your cereal. There you
I
go.
bet in the future they will just cut the udder off the cow and sew it up and put it on the shelf, and they'll grow a new one through genetic engineering.
That seems a little
Do you
inefficient.
think that's an efficient method of milk delivery?
I don't know. We don't know the future.
Stacey and I are concerned about the efficiency of that. How long will it take to grow a new udder? Because I'm pretty sure the old one will fill first.
What
Oh,
if
man.
you start feeding the cows goats, and they get all that protein? They can immediately transfer it into udder formation.
I don't know if you know this, but cows are herbivorous.
They are
Sure.
now, but after we genetically.
Point taken. Point taken.
Thank you.
So I gotta ask now, Don, what are you drinking? Because it sure seems to be working.
Yes.
Well, I had a Ballast Point Sculpin IPA, which was, delicious. We couldn't get that for a long time here in Michigan, and now we can. I think I've even talked about it on the show before, but I've been saving this.
And I've gotten to have it since then because of the show, because Mark brought some to game night.
Oh yeah, Donkers thinks it's an okay IPA. Anyway,
I'm not an IPA guy, so I thought it was the same, but that was me.
Yeah. So I have. What do I have? This is from Thirsty
Mhm.
Dog Brewing Company.
What do you have?
I have a Bernese barley wine ale, and it's got like the dog on the cover. It's cute.
It's a cover.
Bernese. On the cover. Have I been?
That's what you said.
Have I worked with CDs and albums too long? Yes. On the label. On the label. This is a fine barley wine. I picked this up a while ago. I don't really want to talk about it, but it's great.
Okay. I decided not to talk about the beer I brought. So.
Well, no, because I started reading it because I hadn't even read it, and I got distracted, and I'm like, shit, man, we're live. We don't have time for reading while we're supposed to.
I think one of my favorite parts of this whole show is the fact that you're usually a little drunk at the end of it, so we lose sight of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the joy for me. Well, there's no pressure. We're gonna fuck up. We know we're gonna fuck up. I mean, it takes off all pressure. Like,
yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's good enough. I'm done. Let's finish.
Which is probably why I won't get down on us.
It's like it's why we're not the biggest podcast out there because we're not the most professional. I will say that every time we try to be serious, like be professional about shit, we screw it all up. So it bites us in the ass. So I'm gonna quote Spencer Moody and say that we should go out the way that we came in, which was 3 sheets to the wind. So or maybe just 2. I mean we don't need all 3 sheets.
Brings me to an interesting question. Man, you're really right. I've been drinking too much already. Adam, what are you drinking?
So I saw this. This is the kind of thing I normally wouldn't get, but it's from a brewery that I trust, which is Oddside Ales. And Oddside, I've never had anything from them I don't like. And I saw something, and I thought, this is going to be terrible, but it's from Oddside, so I have to try it. And I've got to show you the label, too, for those who can see it.
Mm-hmm.
It's Oddside Wheatermelon. Wheatermelon.
Wheatermelon.
Yeah. And I thought it was going to be terrible, because it is wheat beer brewed with watermelon. I thought...
Yeah.
Don, you've heard my side pocket ale story, the grape-flavored malt liquor that I tried ages ago.
Grape-flavored liquor.
It was 99 cents a 40. How can I afford not to try it?
Whoa.
Yeah, it was awful. It was Dimetap in a 40-ounce Dimetap. It was terrible.
Wow,
so that's kind of what I was prepared for. I thought, it's Oddside. Worst that happens, I gave them some money, But it's actually really good. The watermelon, you only get some nose of it after you have a sip. You don't get any on the way in or on the way down. It just lives in your nose after a sip, and then it's gone. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I love watermelon. Why would I not want to smell watermelon after I had a sip of beer?
There are a handful of watermelon beers right now.
Are there really?
Would they be?
Yeah.
This one's pretty good.
I can't even recall them right now, but I think it doesn't matter. We'll look it up. But there are.
I'm sure you can make wine out of watermelon. I'm positive. Like it's a fruit. You can make wine out of it. That's how fruits work.
It's so much water, though. I wonder.
Yeah.
Watermelon wine. Yeah,
it's worth. I think it's worth finding out more about.
Yeah, I think you'd have to remove some of the water.
Just a little, yeah. But that's where all the flavor is, because then you get we're talking about watermelons. Let's move on.
Hey, wait, remind me at the end of the show, and I can read some reviews of this very show. Not this current show, but the show that we're on, okay? I'll edit that out.
Okay. Yeah, sure you will. Okay. Thanks for reminding me. You just reminded me of a thing. I didn't do any notes for this show beforehand because this weekend was crazy. So
yeah, I didn't know the show was happening.
Thanks for reminding me to do the job.
Hour before 9.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. That's not true. I already told Stacy the story.
What? That I'm I assume we're recording tonight because it's on the schedule, but you haven't tagged me or mentioned anything about recording?
I didn't put up the event until right before this. I completely it was a weird week, man.
It is entirely your fault.
It is, though. I will admit that.
I almost had
It
plans.
is probably my fault.
You almost had plans.
I did have plans, and I just got them done first.
Where did your plans
That's what I
involve
did.
being a waiter in like a new French restaurant in Ann Arbor? Because you're
Actually, no.
because you're looking a little like a French waiter.
Oh, I went to a birthday dinner for my lovely sister,
Alright.
so yeah, that's why I have a shirt on that has
Yeah.
a collar.
Oh, that's the fancy part.
Or I could have got home from work, any number of reasons. I'm just not attired as I normally am.
Oh man, you should
Is that
see
okay with
my
you, Don?
shirt. What? Oh, higher? I forgot.
Oh, look at that. That's a
Yeah,
nice
it's
shirt.
gold.
Yeah.
It's gold. I couldn't stand up too high because
Was
I'm
it-
in my boxers.
We
I'm gonna edit. I'm
yeah.
gonna edit that out.
Don't
humid.
break Brian Tackle's rules. Yeah.
All right. Drink spin.
Okay.
Hey Adam, I'm gonna start with
Spin.
you.
We're spinning.
Yeah. What are
Hey,
you
cool. So we went a long drive yesterday, coming back from the beach. So we, what did we listen to? We listened to Ministry's, the best live albums, the best live album, I am sure, that mankind has ever witnessed, is Ministry's In Case You Didn't Feel Like Showing Up, which was recorded during their tour for A Mind Is a Terrible Thing to Taste, and it has like all of my favorite Ministry songs on it, and they're loud and brutal and a lot of fun, and I loved it and Katie didn't, but I had a good time driving to that. So that was recently, that's been at the top, that I listened to that again today while I was working.
Nice.
So that's been good for me lately. There was something else that I knew I wanted to mention. I guess just Toots and the Maytals because Stan loves it. I'd rather have him listen to that than Disney stuff. Works out.
They just played last night, right? Locally, Detroit.
Who?
It's Toots and the Maytals. I mean,
Did
it's current Toots. You don't want to see Toots and the Maytals. I mean, you want to go in a
You
time
want to see like
machine.
1970?
Yeah, for sure. It's all
Or like
slow.
even like 1958 Toots would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Agreed. So Stacy, what about you? What have you been spinning?
I just picked up the Ghostbuster soundtrack about 2-3 nights ago. Maybe it was on the airplane. I don't remember what it was, but that's what I've been listening to basically.
How's that treating you?
Pretty good. There's some good music on that, and
I
yeah.
will say the theme to that new movie. I mean, it didn't keep me away from the movie. What kept me away from the movie was my son, and the fact that you don't get to turn off being a parent.
What?
Not something they tell you. You don't get to hit a pause button and go to a movie.
You can't just leave
They don't put that on the box.
sleeping, and I mean it's asleep.
You don't want to take him to the movie theater because then he'll be a shit in the middle of the movie. It's what he does.
And they're so loud, movies and babies.
They are.
Oh, I was going to. Stan is very loud. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sure the audience has
You'll
heard
hear
them.
him. I'm sure.
Yeah.
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 Any of our routine viewers. Yeah.
So I don't even know what the soundtrack sounds like. I've not seen the movie because I don't see a lot of movies because my wife won't go see movies with me. And apparently I have no friends, but I do have friends, so I don't know why I don't go to the movies. I take my kids to the movies, right?
Ton.
You have
We are
kids.
friends. We could go to the movies.
I mean, that might work out because then your kid can stay at home. You know what? You know what?
We just
After
have
we
to go and see something that Katie's already seen. We got to arrange for someone to go with Katie so that
Alright.
she can see the movie and then I
It
can see the movie.
won't be
It
my
won't feel
wife.
bad.
Yeah.
Because, that's what we have to work out, a complex web of.
Yeah. Well, once we get our time machine, we go see Toots, and then we'll go
Toots,
and
and
see
then
Civil War because I never saw it and I wanted to.
Stacy does not sound.
Just for Spider-Man parts.
Yeah. See, I know he's in it. I haven't seen it though.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome. For that,
Yeah.
especially.
Just for that.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
like I was giggling the entire time Spider-Man was on screen.
Nice.
It was that awesome.
Nice.
And my husband was looking.
I will say there was like an essential like problem for me in that movie, in that like the whole like we've got to keep the world safe from people like us. We'll do that by destroying this airport.
Yeah.
That kind of cognitive dissonance just really. But they evacuated it first.
Yeah, I don't
still wrecked the control tower.
Understand a lot of the conflict between the two sides anymore, or care anymore. It's just go to see the movie, to see the superheroes.
Yeah, you just want to see.
Spider-Man,
you just want to see people flying around and hitting each other hard. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I
I can get behind that. Yeah. Plot what? We have soap operas for plot, right?
Mm-hmm. Whoa. Oh, shit. I gotta fix something, folks. Hold on. Don,
all right.
Be pretty.
All right. Well,
what are you spinning, Don?
Adam. I've been like, I like more ambient, weird stuff. I've been listening to Marielle Jacobson's, who did an album called Glass Canyon in 2012. I don't. It doesn't matter when she did it, but it's great. It's expansive. It's lush. It's like sound collage. It's gorgeous. If anyone cares anything about that sort of thing.
I remembered the other thing I listened to. John, your conversation, or your mentioning.
Yeah.
Your thing made me think of the thing that I couldn't remember that I was listening to yesterday that I really enjoyed, and because it had some similar qualities to what you're talking about, which was did you ever listen to June 44 back in the day?
Oh yeah.
June of 44's album Anahata, like with all those like weird, like they had a very sonically dense sound, you know, and it was kind of all over the place, but definitely part of that like 90s indie rock thing that was the style at the time.
Yeah, 90s. bunch of garbage. No, but she like plays everything on there. It's dope. She plays guitar, bass, flute. I don't even know what else she plays, and then just layers it and processes it, and it's gorgeous. It's good writing music, I bet.
Cool.
Like if you were like, I'm gonna work on this project that I always say I'm gonna work on, and then you actually start working on it. So that's why I'm listening to it.
That's good. What kind of project are you working on?
A new project I haven't talked about before. What?
Oh, cool.
It's a brand new one that will never go anywhere. That's the way I operate.
You should listen to more music, and maybe it'll go somewhere.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point.
So Stacy, let's get back to the Ghostbusters soundtrack real quick.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about the Ghostbusters soundtrack?
You guys would probably hate it. It's got like Fall Out Boy on it, and
I think I like one Fall Out Boy song that I heard on the radio once.
I think they did there are like 3 different versions of the main Ghostbusters song, and they put the old Ray Parker, what is his name, Jr. Song on there too. There's a couple of 80s songs. One from DeBarge. I forget what the song was, but and then Pentatonics also did a version of the Ghostbusters main theme too, which is really cool if you like them. And then there's just like a couple of cool. There's a song by El King and that I really like called I forget what it's called. I just shared it on Google Plus the other day too, and I totally Good Girls. That's what it's called. But it's a great song, and it's fun to bop around to, and that's kind of what I've been needing a lot lately is lots of uplifting things.
Nice.
All of GenCon crap.
Oh yeah. I was at GenCon. I did not see you, but there were tens of thousands of people there. So
yeah, like
yeah.
It was like 60,000.
We were
unique.
We were both working that convention, right? I mean, like Stacy, you were effectively working, right?
Oh yeah.
Don was working at a booth, so it would be hard for your paths to cross.
Yeah, I got like
I'm the slub.
lunch, but
I won't do that shit, man. I'm not gonna work at a convention, because I want to enjoy it.
I mean,
Hard, man.
you can't just go and play games the whole time. That sounds boring.
Who gets to play games at conventions? I don't
Wait, do this for fun?
Yeah. What's up with playing games for 16 hours straight? That sounds like work. I might as well.
But I can't do that. I can't do that either. Like I relax my way through a convention, you know, and that's how it actually manages to be a vacation for me.
Yeah.
I was all set to have this be like, it was going to be a working convention like, GenCon is for me now, but I was all set to be at least a little bit more relaxed because we didn't put our name up for any of the Ennies or anything like that. So I'm like, I don't have to sit in tension because there's an award that might be waiting for me. And then we got the Diana Jones Award nomination, and I was
Diana Jones, yeah.
There goes that.
Back under that microscope. Damn it.
But it was a good thing. So
associating with the clowns that I normally associate with at conventions is a damn good thing. We're not up for any awards or anything. That it's, there's no microscope. Because Doug Kovacs is the last person you want to put under a microscope like that.
Oh no.
Bad times. So that was my Doug Kovacs sip too. Since we mentioned him, I had. All right, so I'm tired, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm a jerk.
You're kind of sucking.
I'm just really tired.
Hey, let me take over. We're on reading now.
I love it when
Stacy,
you take over.
Are you reading anything you would like to talk about, or just tell us what you're reading? Because we really have to have something for read. I mean, it's very important.
I am, now that Gen Con is over, I am trying to read the Cipher System rulebook. Because I need to get one of my games back up and running after putting it on hold because of Gen Con. And I decided that I wanted to switch it over to a new system because that sounds like a basic challenge. Why not? It's World of Darkness goes into Cipher System. Let's see how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. Is this the werewolf one that you were running?
Yeah. I put it on hold. And Chris Helton was running, we were running opposite Mondays, and we were calling it, what was it, like Paranormal Mondays, that's what it was called. And he ran a witches game, and I ran a werewolf game, and actually he was using some system, I don't remember, it's a Powered by the Apocalypse system, and I was using old classic World of Darkness rules, and I don't know what it is Money Cook Games has always been so good to ConTessa and so good to me just overall that I love them so much and they're such great people. I'm like, I really should be playing some of their games, or at least trying to, and because I haven't given them, like, Numenera the world isn't really my thing. The Strange sounds kind of cool just because of the way that it's all set up, but I haven't really gotten into it. But then there's the Cipher system, which is their generic system that I dig a lot and that I kind of want to get into because there's this whole different way of running games and actually going through all that stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that. But that's pretty much what I'm reading.
Cool.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I haven't had time to do anything in weeks, months.
Yeah, I bet.
Leisure? What is that?
It's those 10 to 20 minutes on the toilet. That's it.
Wait, how long?
I don't know. I just made up some numbers. Depends. Usually not that long. It depends until your legs go numb because you've been sitting there so long and nobody's gonna bug you, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's what happened to me. It's like I'll just start reading. I'll just keep reading.
Yeah, that's
and then my legs fall asleep.
Yeah,
and I realize I need to.
Get on with your life. Yeah.
That was not an autobiographical statement.
I have 2 words for you.
Done.
Fiber.
Oh, go ahead.
That's 2 words.
Yeah, that's 1 word.
Fiber. Then you're not getting a fiber. Make it 2 words.
So were the 2 words both fiber, or was it fi and burr?
Yeah, it was fi.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay. Not fiber.
No. Fiber.
All right.
What am I reading? I am reading just stuff I picked up at Gen Con, so it's all game stuff. And I know I should be reading something that's not. Well, I'm reading Journey to the Center of Aerith by Mr. Strode. It's so good. I love it. And then there was you should have asked me. I would have grabbed you one. You said, "Hey, dude."
No, it's okay. I can pick it up at GaryCon. It's fine. I'll buy it from the Hirscheberg.
And then there's a small little supplement. You know, they do the tiny ones, like the .1s.
Yeah.
Lost City of Baracco. Or maybe it's just Baracco.
Yeah, some friends of ours wrote that, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, a bunch of people were involved. Callahan and maybe even Terry Olson. I'm not sure who else.
Yeah, I think Terry Olson.
I'm going to feel bad.
Edgar have some stuff in there?
I don't know. If he did, let's mention him. If not, let's not. I don't remember. What else am I reading? You know, the Goodman Games GenCon program guide. It's always packed full of good stuff. I
love that cover this year. The awesome Stefan Poe cover. So good.
It's cool. I got those the Devil's Chatbook, also by Harley Stroh, where he has like snippets from other stuff.
That's the one I should have asked you to pick up for me. That's the one I should have asked.
You can borrow it, man. It's cool.
Okay.
I just got Mike Curtis's. It's not called something else. Yeah.
Yes.
What did I get? Maze.
We're not. It's not show and tell, man.
No, I know.
What are you reading?
I'm reading all these things. I'm reading all these things at once. You know, when you have so many books.
Oh, okay. You do like a page here, then a page there.
Yeah, you like put it down. You go to the next one. Like, oh my god, I'm so excited. Maze of the Blue Medusa. Is that what the title is? Maybe. Yeah.
I call that skimming. Is what I call what you just described. Like.
Well, no, because I actually have read Journey to the Center of Aerith through, and I'm rereading. Okay. Because I love it.
All right.
I love it. How about you, Adam? What boring book?
You know, I don't know why you think I'd be reading boring books.
Because you didn't go to GenCon.
Always in. Yeah.
No, I do always enjoy.
Well, I'm actually reading something. I have it right here. I have it close to hand because I've been reading it, and that's how close to hand I have it. So my gaming reading has been this. It's been Lamentations of the Flame Princess, Lost World, or World of the Lost by Raphael, friend of the show, Raphael Chandler. And because I've had it for a while, but I haven't actually read it, and as careful listeners of the show will remember, our last recording session, or I guess at this point, last time we met our gorgeous listeners, we talked a little trash. I let Harley Stroh goad me into agreeing to do something, which was agreeing to publish something for Lamentations of the Flame Princess if they got the #1 slot,
right,
or on Bundle of Holding. Now, I asked James Radji right before GenCon, and of course he was like in flight, you know, from Finland probably when I asked him, or he'd just gotten in the U.S. I knew he wasn't going to have time. I was like, dude, let me know if you got the #1 slot this year, you know, and if you don't mind. And so he got back to me like, it must have been like the first thing he did when he got back to Finland, because it was like right away, right after GenCon, I got this notification. Yeah, we did it. We're #1. Thanks, man. Bye. So, okay. So I'm in the process of turning my In the Shadow of the Black Giant setting, which previously had been like a Holmes thing or Blue Home, turning that into Lamentations, because I think the historical basis for Lamentations will have a little bit better fit. So I'm working on that, which means I'm reading lots of Radji and Lamentations stuff. This being the big thing now. That and the Lamentations core book have been like, I've been going back and forth between the two, which I would not call skimming, because I do one in hardback and one in PDF. So, you know, got one on the computer, got one on the thing. So depends on what's in front of me.
I mean, I have read these things, and then I go back and read something else. I just don't read a page. In my defense, do you remember when I was telling you every other day how much I loved that Chandler book?
Me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
what?
Which one?
Yeah, you. Which
Chandler book? No. You loved me? Yes, I know, Don. I love you too.
I think we've chatted once for 3 sentences since last time we recorded this show, which was the Monday before GenCon.
It really was. It was not very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, okay, man.
Yeah, thanks.
We're
Are
awful
you
tonight.
reading
Okay.
anything, Adam? Just kidding.
I told you. I just told you. I'm reading World
I'm
of
just
Lost.
joking. I'm just trolling you hardcore.
I'm also reading that. I'm still reading a book I mentioned last time or a while ago, which was this novel called Galore, which is or maybe I haven't mentioned it. This albino guy, or I'm sorry, a whale washes up on the shore of I think it's 19th century Nova Scotian, Newfoundland,
Yes.
fishing community, and they cut the whale open, they find an albino dude inside of him.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is pretty well written in Newfoundland, colloquialism, which is amazing. Because of the pattern of speech is so strange, and the author doesn't segregate speech from descriptions of things traditionally, and does not use quotation marks, so it all flows together. The novel's called Galore. I can't remember who wrote it, but it's really good and strange and a lot of fun. So I'm still reading that.
Nice.
There we go. There's my not gaming reading.
I do
I'm
remember
doing.
that. That's good. How about what? What?
How about
How about I was going to ask what someone was running, yeah, but then you made a face like you were going to say something. Stacy.
No, I'm waiting for you to. Stacy, let's talk to Stacy. Well, obviously she's running Cypher System Werewolf.
Right. Yeah, she already mentioned that. Well, she hasn't yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
Right.
The two games that I'm running are on hold. The one is going to go to Cypher System when I reboot it in a couple weeks here, I would say. And the other one is a Corporea game, which I don't know if you guys know anything about that game.
I don't think I know.
I am aware of it, and I have the graphic, the marketing graphic, burned into my brain.
What's cool about it? I mean, it's Mark Clemens put it together, and it's a cyberpunk kind of futuristic kind of game, but where you're all basically Arthurian heroes come back to try and bring Arthur back. So basically, each character, you can be all sorts of different things, but the main thing that you want to be if you want to play this game is a knight, and you're basically a reborn knight into somebody else's body. So you have a modern kind of mix between this medieval knight and this, and I had all my players pick who they wanted to be from the Arthurian legends, which is awesome because they started riffing off of each other almost immediately. Oh, Gawain is Lancelot's best friend, and Lancelot's the CEO of this big corporation, and so the system is really, really elegant and simple. It's it's way better for me than previously most of my cyberpunk kind of experience from Shadowrun, and you know how complicated Shadowrun is.
Yeah.
It's it takes 3 days to make a character, and that's working 8 hours a day, People go to Shadowrun con games, and I'm like, how can you even? I don't even. Okay. But this is, it's a really nice system. It's got some shades of World of Darkness in there, some shades of just D&D, old school D&D kind of stuff in there, and it's just really well done and a very, very simple, well executed game that my players have had a ton of fun at. And I had to put both of my games on hold because GenCon was just eating up every living minute of my time.
So the last time you were on the show, and it wasn't a Swords and Wizardry Appreciation Day thing, you were working on Precious Dark.
Yeah, Precious Dark has kind of taken a back seat. That will probably be there for a while. I have 3 or 4 projects I think lined up before it that I really want to do.
Cool.
And all of which is just blocked because of Swords and Wizardry. It's not until that's done does everybody else get looked at.
Right.
And right now I'm writing Kickstarter text for it, and it's the most painful thing.
Especially when you start looking at what did everybody else write for Kickstarter, and the folks who did really well, and when with you working with Frog God, you've got to look at what did they do last time?
Right.
I've got to not do that but still learn from it. You know.
Yeah. So it's starting out as in first person. So either there's going to be like a little letter at the top from me, or the whole thing's going to be in first person, which will be different by itself.
Right.
But
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things to talk about
Cool.
there. It's hard to actually pick what I want to focus on at any given moment.
Mm-hmm. Definitely understand that. Hey, Don, what about you? What are you running?
I don't have anything to report on this front. Because, GenCon, we fell in between weekends where I normally run, so I was like, I'm not going to run anything, spend some time with the wife to pad out, the time she needs before and after GenCon. When I come home stinking of nerd. So I've got.
What does nerd stink like? I just gotta know. What's the smell of nerd?
Some of it smells bad, man. Some of it smells really bad.
I've been to GenCon. I know how that place can smell. Right?
I can't even tell if we're being rude now. We're just speaking the truth. I don't even know. So
it is to be like basic con courtesy, like fucking bathe, like every day, all of the days, every day that you are there, you should bathe. I mean, you don't, but I mean, it's also the size of Gen Con too, right? I mean, because there's that constant press of bodies. There's so many fucking people in one place that eventually you're gonna get sweaty because they're all next to you and everybody's packed in like sardines.
In Indianapolis in the summer, you walk outside. In
the summer,
sticky like that, and then you walk inside and the AC is on full blast, and you start shivering almost immediately. It's not fun.
No.
I have cursed the Midwest soundly.
It gets humid here.
When you come in November, Stacy, it'll be completely different. I promise it'll be.
It's gonna snow.
Opposite of that.
Yeah.
Will there be snow? Oh,
yes. Every single Yukon I've been to.
There might be snow.
Yeah, there might be.
There might be.
Last year we had a huge snowstorm in the middle of Yukon, like the Saturday of Yukon. It kind of shut the place down, which basically meant everybody was trapped there who was there. Mm-hmm. So it kind of got a little out of hand. But it was fun. That's the whole reason Tin Cask won't come to Yukon is because he doesn't want to get trapped in the Michigan snowstorm. So
make it fun. Maybe in a snowstorm. That's like perfect. Except the part where you can't go home. That's that part.
Right. Well, it's attached to the hotel.
It depends on which day. Yeah. Keith G. Nelson wants to mention that cons smell, unfortunately, of defeated deodorant and rancid bologna, which I think is a little more descriptive than I needed.
Yeah. It's making me get in my mouth a little bit.
It's not that bad for me, but
No. You haven't eaten rancid bologna.
I can separate my sensory memory from my normal memory.
So I'm not running anything to get back to the topic. Yeah. But I did play in some of Doug and Wayne's Punjar 50.
Oh yeah, I saw pictures of you.
Wasn't that weird? Yeah. I was out playing games.
Did you get to play with Andy Action?
He was at a different table. I wanted to meet him because I want him on the show sometime because I'm interested in what he does. But no, I didn't get to meet him. I did meet the Brinkmans finally. I introduced myself.
You hadn't met the Brinkmans?
No, I don't really go to conventions to meet people.
What do you go to them for?
To hang out with people I already know.
Oh, I see.
I have tons of friends.
Like you could any other weekend.
Yeah, no, they live in Texas or Ohio, which is close. I'm sorry. That's not a good example. Texas, they live in Texas. Some of my greatest buds, it's our time to hang out. So,
I get that.
Yeah,
I guess that'd be true with me too if I could make it back down there, because I mean James McGeorge, Wayne, Doug,
it's hanging with your good buds. Yeah, all those things. Yeah. I had lots of time with Wayne, Doug, and James McGeorge. They're all doing well. I can name drop
time
a bunch
well
of other
spent.
names. Yeah.
John, I'm sure you spent time with John Gilmore, friend of the show, who will
I didn't
also
see
be at
him.
GenCon.
I didn't see him at all. He's a guest
No?
of honor as one of the co-creators
Yeah.
of Dead of Winter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fine game, people. Play it.
Haven't had a chance to play it yet.
I have.
Okay. So,
Hey, Adam.
Hey, Adam. What are you running?
No, you were breaking up. I have to ask you because you were breaking up. Hey, Adam, what are you running?
When you put our audio together, you look at me being sarcastic about asking myself what I'm running. So
I'm gonna cut that.
I finished my turn GMing Torchbearer.
Oh,
and
nice.
I'm gonna say I'm not sure that I'm gonna go back to that system immediately. I'm gonna give it some time to breathe. I would go back to it. I learned a lot from playing Torchbearer, and it was one of those games that after running, I feel like a better DM, and I think that's good. That's a sign of a good game, you know. Like there's stuff that I learned in the process that now I know I'll be able to take with me into other games. Did I break up real bad?
No, we're just listening.
Okay.
And I'm actually thinking
there's no
that,
response.
Yeah. We're just like staring off. We're like, yeah.
Yeah.
Adam's just talking. We'll just appease him while Adam talks. Yeah,
blah blah blah.
That's how 95% of the show is spent anyway. It's fine.
No, I was actually thinking that there are a lot of things I would like to just port over to like DCC or LOTFP if I'm playing that. Like, you know, hunger. If you didn't pack rations, you know, a lot of people these days just hand wave. Oh, yeah, of course you brought rations. Of course you have this. Of course you have that. I want. It sucks being hungry.
I'm gonna say it needs to be an interesting choice. It has to be, you know, if it's going to be a choice that's in the game, it needs to be interesting. Jason Hobbs brought up on Google Plus the other day that he's in a like a West Marches style 5e game.
Mm-hmm.
Which my problems with so right now just got done playing Torchbearer. Now we're playing 5e, and in so much easier because there's so many things that you don't even have to worry about. You know, in 5e, if you're out of rations, you know, you can go like it's like a number of days, like an obscene number of days before you start taking level of exhaustion. It's like your constitution number of days or something like that. And someone who's better with rules can correct me. That's fine.
All right.
But that seems like it just seems like it's obscene to me to let you go so long without suffering some kind of consequence. If that's going to be in the game at all, like let's make it a reasonable and an interesting choice instead of just like yes, it's fine that you forgot to eat. You know.
Right.
I like that Torchbearer does bring that to the front of the game, and I guess it makes that an interesting choice, you know, to focus on those things.
Yeah.
And for however much we like to tout, like, you know, oh, I'm an old school guy, blah blah blah. You know what you're not doing? You're not tracking resources. I guarantee you, you're not counting torches. You're not tracking rations. It's not an interesting part of your game, and Torchbearer actually makes it a pretty interesting part of your game, which sounds crazy, right? Like if it was a modern game, you're not going to keep track of how many batteries you have for your flashlight, you know. That's not an interesting choice until somebody makes it an interesting choice. So I'm really glad that's now entered my repertoire as a DM as like a way to like build tension. Not specifically rations. I'm not just going to talk about hungry.
Right.
The hungry, thirsty condition. You know, hunger. That's the word I'm looking for.
Hunger.
Hunger. Simple word. But you know, like there's also a degree to which, okay, you missed the die roll, but I'll give you the success if you take this consequence as well. So like kind of making a devil's bargain.
Right.
Which I think is really great. Why haven't I not been doing that? It's like, yeah, you made the thing, but here's a bad consequence that happens to you as well. You know, your pack ripped open and you lost your rope.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense to me. Like, let's do that stuff, especially in a game like DCC where we're all like running and having a good time, and you know, like swinging swords and you know, rushing headlong into death and danger, it makes more sense to throw those kind of weird consequences in. So future folks who play DCC with me as the DM, you have Luke, Crane, and Thor, whatever his last name is, to blame for the shit that I'm going to do to you. But so that's good. Of course, Iron Coast is still wrapping up. We spent a session fighting a bunch of one session with a mass battle this last time, which was using the Domains at War system, which was pretty cool, but it took too long. And so that's still moving. And I think they just figured out what the actual big bads are, and that the fact that they released them from their slumber in the first adventure that they went on back when Dawn was part of the game.
I miss it.
Do you? You don't miss it.
I know, it's fun.
Yeah. And so I'm also trying to think of what we're going to do next for our actual play stuff, Don. And obviously it's going to be after the move, so we'll probably be talking. I want to start off maybe in October or November, depending on what life schedules look like for me then. But I'm thinking of a couple of different things that I think would be fun. Maybe we could do some Lamentations. Lamentations is always good. I was actually thinking even like 5e wouldn't be bad. You can do 5e in a way that doesn't suck. Unlike all of the I mean, just kidding. I don't think that I've not been in a bad 5e game. I'm kidding. I've watched a few on YouTube that didn't have me very interested. Click them off. So, but I was thinking about maybe doing that because I think that would be fun. But who knows? DCC, Lamentations, or 5e, I think is what's coming. Oh, but I am working on something completely different from the other stuff that I've already mentioned, which is for UConn. I'm designing a Mutant Crawl Classics thingy. Have I talked about that before?
I think so. Yeah.
Then,
see, I don't remember if you told me or if you told the show, but I think you told the show last. They won't hear it for another 3-4 weeks, but they won't hear this for another 5-6 weeks. So it doesn't matter.
Okay, so my plan is I'm writing a session for UConn that is being designed to be played under black lights, because most time if you game under black lights, it's just shitty. So my goal is to make a session where it's actually designed to be better in black light, which has been a lot of conceptual work and playing with props and stuff. So that's been fun. I'm looking forward to that. So
sweet. I should run something.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be Saturday night. I submitted all my events for UConn already. Normally I'm dragging ass to the last day.
Yeah.
But this time it's open for a day, and I already have my events submitted.
Wow.
So.
Well, we're all gonna be at UConn.
Yeah.
All three of us. That's really
Weird.
Wow.
Weird.
Yeah. Holy crap.
It's not so weird for me because it's 2 miles from my house, but for you guys.
By then it won't be 2 miles from my house.
I know.
We'll be staying.
And it certainly won't be anywhere
near
Stacy.
At the hotel.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah. It's a long way away.
Yeah.
So Stacy, you got to remember, you got to do the con thing. Come the day before, right? So that we can all be stupid in the hotel bar together. I know Bill's coming again this year. Bill Webb is coming again this year.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yup.
He's fun.
He's like the Big Lebowski, or he's like the dude of the old school scene.
Yeah.
He just.
I mean, if I ever grow up, I want to be Bill Webb when I grow up. Which I'm already kind of there, except I'm not very loud and talkative.
Yeah. Yeah, so 2 of the 3 things, maybe 4. Gotta wear pajamas everywhere.
I can drink.
Yeah,
I don't wear pajamas.
You can drink.
I can drink though. That's 1/4.
Yeah, don't wear your pajamas to UConn. Those of us who sleep in the nude know what I'm talking about. All right. Hey, you know what, guys? Before we go, I do want to drop a quick thank you to our supporters over on Patreon. Patreon. I always say the word wrong. Everybody's you say it funny. I always say Patreon, and then everybody's convinced me. No, it's Patreon.
Yeah, it's got to be Patreon. Yeah, because they're your patrons.
Your patrons. So
yeah.
Yes, but Patreon.
This isn't hard. This isn't hard, Adam.
I know.
English is
I know everything is difficult. Everything's hard. Okay, so I want to say thank you to our patrons over on Patreon. I want to say especially to Michael Jones, Eric Talvola, Keith Nelson, Dan Domi, and Forrest Aguirre. Sorry, I gotta say it that way.
Gary.
Forrest, thank you very much for listening. Gary, it's Forrest to Gary, but it's spelled like the
Gary.
wrath of God, so I've got to say it. Don, thanks for being my lovely co-host.
Hey, before we go, let's read these reviews because we're a podcast and some people actually reviewed. And I think once we drunkenly said, if you review us, we'll give you something from our extra books bag, which
I got a book
illegal,
specifically for this.
Is that illegal?
No.
I don't know.
Well, it's not illegal. It's frowned upon to solicit reviews.
Well,
but we'll give it to how about we give it to a random reviewer? That's different.
It's a drawing. Of course, it's a drawing. Kevin the Texan says, "Drunks. These guys are a bunch of drunks from Wisconsin or Michigan," which made me laugh.
That's good.
Wisconsin or Michigan. Yeah. Speaking of Adam mispronouncing, I was gonna say discopati, but it's probably discopedi. Says chock full of information and beer. Each episode is like a party in your ear. That rhymes. I just realized. There's one more.
Thanks, discopedi.
Or discopati.
Do you think discopedi? Yeah. Okay.
It must be discopati because that sounds more epic, right?
How could it be anything else?
DM Kojo says, "I really love this podcast. It is edgier than the typical OSR podcast fare." Thank you very much. It is edgy.
Edgier.
Yeah.
Edgier.
That's important. That is an important distinction.
Yeah, we actually talk about Michael Moorcock a lot. But hold a great niche. Oh, this is a long one. I love the format where they talk about the beer they are drinking, music they are spinning, books they are reading, and RPG games they are running. They get some great guests, yes we do, and talk about very interesting and thought-provoking topics in the gaming world. Highly recommended.
Thanks, Kojo. That's
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So there's 3 reviews. So how many books do we have? I've got 1.
What? I've actually got.
I've got
I think
1.
We talked about Extra Black Company, Extra Moorcock, and
is there such thing as Extra Moorcock?
I do have extra copies of Michael Moorcock. Oh, right.
It never goes. It never stops. It is never not going to be funny.
It's hard when you're juveniles like the 3 of us.
Oh man.
So if you guys,
I could keep going. I'm not gonna do it though. I'm not gonna keep poking at this one.
No. So yeah, you guys can contact us somehow on our Google Plus page or our Facebook page, and give us your details.
And they'll be happy to give you some more cock.
Yeah, and we'll give you some more cock. Or some Glenn Cook.
Then he said it's hard, and I was like, damn it, Don, you're making it too easy.
I did that on purpose.
Yeah.
I could have said it's difficult when you're juveniles like us, but, you know.
Yeah, you could have said a lot of things.
Yeah.
I couldn't take that bait this time, Don. I just had to wait.
This episode runs long, so I'm going to call it. Thank you.
Okay, yes, we'll do that. We'll be back with. You know what? We haven't thanked Stacy for being here. Thank you, Stacy, for being on the show and putting up with us. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Well, I beat you to it, jerk.
You're just louder.
We're being mean to each other. This is when it's time to move on. Thank you, Stacy, and thank you, your gorgeous listeners. And we'll see you next time when we'll talk to Stacy some more. And have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and we'll stop there. I'll let Don talk you through what to do because I clearly need another beer.
Hit the stop.
All right.
And I would export right now if your computer can handle it.
Export audio?
Yep. And you know what? You can send me MP3s. They're easier to send.
Okay, so not waves. That's what it had at default. MP3. Gotcha.
Yeah. I usually ask for waves.
Waves are best,
but sometimes they're hard to get.
Why? What happens to them?
All right, I'll be right back.
They're just so big.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna
What are we naming this episode?
Dropbox somewhere.
I don't even know.
I hate you sometimes. Oh, there it is.
Ha.
Hmm. Save. Yeah. Uh-oh. Not open MP3 encoding library.
Oh, just do Wave then.
All right.
I forgot that I think I had to download something to enable it to do MP3s. Maybe not. It's hazy.
See. Save. There we go.
And then, Keith G. Nelson, if you're listening, I believe Torchbearer is an AP game. I don't know how backed up we are on those. I do know, since Adam's not here, I'll complain about how he hasn't been uploading episodes that I have edited, so there's that. Don't tell him I said that. And I'm going to be right back.
Me too.
Hi, viewers. I'm back. Stacy's not here yet. Don's not here yet. If you have some questions, let us know. Keith, was the Torchbearer game slated to be an AP, or am I engaging in wishful thinking? We try. This one's totally my bad, and so I'm gonna admit that I sucked at this. We were supposed to have an adventure path, or actual play. Oh man, bad words. We were supposed to have an actual play of Torchbearer. That suddenly, like, my world got super busy, and we did one session, and it was tough to get back into it. But I'm talking to people. I'm talking to our viewers, guys. So I just figured I'd do a little bit in between. Did you start hearing me? Did you not mute your headphones or something?
No, I just knew you were talking. I just came back.
Your Adam sense was tingling. Yeah. Is that the iron-on one, or did you or did you buy that?
I bought it. Wayne has an iron-on one. Right? Yeah, they have it for sale now.
That's cool.
I spent money.
I guess that I can close this thing now. So I don't know if we'll. So Keith, I guess I don't know if we'll get back to it. It was a lot of fun, but like my schedule got away from me, so we never went back to it. Maybe we will. I don't know. I'm a little torchbeared out right now from having run it for so many months. Gabriel Perez Gashardi, who is my GM for that 5th edition game that doesn't suck. Like I said, I actually had tremendous luck with 5th edition. I think the only person who I've ever played under is Gabriel, so it's going to be good. But he says enlightening concepts about the resources and consequences resources and consequences in 5th edition. So it's always dangerous when you give your your DM fuel, you know, isn't it?
Yeah,
here's the thing that I think about stuff. Use it against me, jerk.
Yeah. So I never do that as a player. As a DM,
I can't help it. Try to get me to shut up. Good luck.
Good luck. Oh, so that Torchbearer wasn't actually an AP?
It was, and we did it on our channel. You can actually find the video of it on our YouTube channel. Yeah, so if you ever want to watch me and Clint and Dan and someone else play Torchbearer. Was it Hobbs? I think it was Hobbs. Because Hobbs was really helpful with our APs. So.
Oh yeah, Hobbs is great. I love that guy. I miss that guy. He can't be on again though.
He can't be on the show.
No,
he's not allowed.
No.
He peed on your carpet.
He's right there. Hobbs, yum baloney. Says. That was.
You stepped in that one, you dick. Hey, are we ready to do this?
Yeah, let's do this.
Second half of the show.
I'm gonna go to bed. Let's do this shit.
Okay.
Oh, it's not late.
I took the day off tomorrow. I'm like,
California.
Yeah.
I'm going early tomorrow at like 7, so. So that was smart.
Yeah.
We're ready to go. We're just waiting for you to count us down, Don.
Oh, so close.
Wait, did you tell Stacy the thing about? Yeah, go ahead.
I would close Audacity because it has a tendency to start recording and playing back at the same time if you have a file open and you hit record. So I would close that and reopen. I hope it reopens nicely instead of the way it opened for you last time.
I don't know. Good.
Good. And then I'll count us down. Remember, it's on 1, not after 1. 3, 2, 1. We should be recording, and we're still live. So take us away.
We're still live. Yeah.
French waiter.
Yeah.
I don't get the French waiter thing. Folks, welcome to Drinks Been Run. I'm your French waiter, Adam Miscavige, and with me, as always, is my lovely co-host Don Stroud. Today. Hi, Don. How you doing? Sorry, I forgot to say
Bonjour!
How are you doing?
Ça va? Wait, ça va? Ça va. Je m'appelle Don. Oui.
Oh, there's that high school French for you. Yeah.
Go on.
So, well, Don's done screwing around with this French waiter gimmick. We'll move on. Our fantastic guest today. I'm excited again. Stacy, I love having you on the show. I just blew it. So our fantastic guest today is Stacy Dellorfano. I love having you on the show because you're so much fun to talk to. And today, we're going to do a very bad job inviting Stacy on the show to talk about stuff that actually matters to us. By that, I literally mean Don and I as guys in gaming, but that we're slightly awkward at dealing with because we're guys in gaming yet again. Those of you who know Stacy and what she does, you know that Stacy is the lady in charge of I don't know. I almost did my default there, which is HNIC of ConTessa, the convention within a convention, which was an online convention on its own right, but it's now the convention within a convention of GenCon, where all of the events, all of the panels are run by women, which is awesome. She also is the lead designer. Is that the correct term? Is that what do you do on the social
project manager / art director / cartographer / I wear 7,000 hats. So project manager pretty much covers all of them.
There we go. Project manager. The next edition, the next printing of Swords and Wizardry, which Stacy, tell us why it's different than previous ones.
So this version,
if you don't mind.
This printing, all of the layout and all of the design and all of the artwork that's in it has been done by a group of women. All of the writing is still the same. It's all Matt Finch's work, but we have taken the dressing, basically, of everything and redone it entirely.
What's the point of doing that? versus though that's not a shitty question, but like
No,
I know like
yeah.
I feel like there's there's a reasoning behind that.
Yeah.
Can you share that with us?
Well, so the whole thing started when I actually got into a discussion on Google Plus about why there are so few women interested in OSR games. It's actually really hard for me to find women to run OSR games at pretty much any of our conventions because there's so few. And through gaming, I mean, it's probably the most dude-heavy, part of gaming. And some of it has to do with the age of the games, I think, and just where people got started. I know so many guys who got, the red box or the white box, one of those, their like 10th, 11th birthday or something like that, and girls almost never have that kind of a story. So I think there's a connection there that women don't have. But Matt Finch came into the discussion. He said, "Well, it's the artwork," and I'm like, "Well, how about you give me your writing? We leave your writing alone, and we just change all of the artwork and have all of the artwork done by women and all of the design done by women and see how that goes." And I didn't expect him to actually in the affirmative when I did it. It was just kind of like a thing that I was throwing out there. But the next thing you know, I've got an email from Matt saying, "Let's do this. Bill thinks this is a great idea, and let's make this happen, and let's." I think the big thing is that what he really wanted to do was to put like a different spin on it and a different feel on it, and having an all-woman group actually does a lot of that. Plus, it hits some of my key points, which are like, I really think that if we want diverse products in the world, and if we want products that hit up a large number of demographics of just one little tiny demographic, we've got to have diverse teams working on these projects, and that means women in every single level of doing that kind of a thing. And this was, I actually, like 2 or 3 of my artists had never done RPG work before. In fact, our cover artist, Chaos, she had never done any kind of RPG work. She had just basically done commercial illustrations and things like that, and things that she did on her own. And I actually had to talk her down out of some of the polishing to explain, what tabletop games are and what role-playing games are and some of the kind of things that we're actually looking for. But she's like super excited, and she has so much fun doing this, and I know she's going to want to go on and do some more like it. And I've got like 2 or 3 other illustrators in there who are the same, who came in, and I pulled them in because I saw somebody either gave me a link to their portfolio, or I looked them up on DeviantArt. I went through just tons and tons and tons of artists, or some of them they're not used to doing fantasy work. One of my artists actually did some of the illustrations she did were for articles in the New Yorker. So it's this bringing this completely fresh look into it to try and build a product that looks different than everything else that we've seen in the OSR probably since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's Matt and Bill really pushed me hard to actually come up with something different, because when I first started working on it, I actually felt all of this pressure from the OSR community. Like, I'm like, if it's not metal enough, or if it's not OSR enough, it's not going to be right and it's not going to work well. And Matt and Bill were actually really kind of instrumental in saying, no, back the truck up. We don't want you to create the same thing that everybody else did, just with women at the head of it. We want you to create something different and that's new and exciting. And I really love it now. I mean, it's taken a little bit of time, but I'm really in love with it now, instead of just kind of, yeah, this is working. This is I'm getting the job done. It's actually something that is. I realized the kind of artwork that I picked and the way that I did it is the way that I like to enjoy artwork, which is kind of cool.
Awesome.
And that's, to me, I like a lot of little details. I like, especially with role-playing game books, I love flipping through them. That's usually, like, when I first get an RPG book, that's usually the first thing I do, is I flip through the entire thing and just kind of skim, kind of get an idea of where everything is. And I love being able to come back to pages that have really good artwork on them and looking at it again and again and again and seeing something new every time. And I think I realized just today that I did that in Swords and Wizardry. I put artwork in there that I would want to look at over and over and over again.
Nice.
That's good. Yeah. I do the same thing with games as well. I'm very much a visual memory kind of person. Like, I remember where things are in books because of what illustrations they're near, or like where reasonably it is in the book. Like, if I look at the spine, it's about this far in, and it's by the illustration of that. So
Right.
I'm glad that you have that feel too. It's so much easier to find stuff.
Yeah, we have borders on the pages, and they're really beautifully done, but they're different for each section. So if you're in the weapons section, the border is a bunch of weapons. And if you're in the player creation section, it's actually got a little scene going on. Stuff like magic looks like magic and whatnot. So yeah, for visual people, it'll be a very good thing. You'll be able to find things pretty quickly.
That sounds sweet.
Yeah. Okay. So the problem I'm having is Don and I are already completely sold on this thing.
Yeah.
And
it's really hard to ask you to sell it harder because we're like, I want to now.
Yeah. Ready.
I mean, I'm actually holding off on buying the other one so I can have the new one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, it's the cover. I released the cover just before Gen Con, and it got people just loved it, and it got a ton of great reviews. It got so much more love than anything else. Yeah. And I was a little scared of it because it's an abstract art piece. I mean, it's not what you typically see on the front of a role-playing game book that just like clearly illustrates what you expect to see inside, and that's the love of the OSR that I have in me, is that it's at its root, like Swords and Wizardry is a rules light system that you could use for pretty much anything. If you really boil it down to it, there's no one setting or one way to look at it. So that's kind of what I wanted to bring in there too. Is look, you can look at this in different ways. You can use your imagination in different styles in order to actually view the kind of world that you're in. It doesn't have to be this one kind of strict ideal of what old school D&D should look like.
Yeah.
A range of baby handoffs.
So So I just want to say that this is why, to me, I'm going to be fully honest. My main group is just a bunch of dudes, and we sit there and drink. But I think that's why it's important to play with, other sexes, like, there's more than just one other or two. Just because you can look at it from a different angle. Like, I want to know how you look at things, like other people, other whatever. Like, I just want. And then it sounds weird. Like, am I trying too hard to get that? Is that in itself a problem, or is it all right to be like, I want to know how you are going to experience this as a woman, or as an African American, or whatever. That's just, I don't know. Those are my thoughts on what we're kind of skirting
it does seem
around.
It does seem like it's kind of stupid to just keep putting out the same thing made by the same people and assume that it's going to attract an audience of different people. It just doesn't make sense, I think. So,
well, I mean,
Stacy.
If you're getting down to kind of the essential question of what do women want, and is it different than what men want, and can we? I mean, I cannot tell you how many emails I get into ConTessa of male designers asking me, what do I need to put in my game in order to attract women, and and it's just kind of like, and that's one of those questions that people ask, but it's kind of like you feel uncomfortable asking it, first of all, because you're making an assumption that all women are like, that we're all going to like. We're not.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there are women who are going to completely hate what I did, but it's more along the lines of that you bring something really subtle into it when you have the creators of the kind of marginalized people that you're talking about. Whether you're talking about people of color, whether you're talking about transgender people, whether you're talking about anybody on the queer spectrum anywhere, or women, when you bring them into a team and you have them work on projects, they bring something that you can't define and you can't really nail down as this is this thing that this having this kind of diversity on this project is actually bringing to it. It's almost impossible to actually understand where that mojo is coming from. But then when you see products that are actually made by diverse teams, they do tend to be liked by a diverse crowd, like a lot of people. I mean, Monte Cook Games' work is one of the big ones that stick out to me because they've done a great job with gender representation all over the place. And you could tell that there's a variety of people that actually work on these projects and that bring their individual perspectives to it, and it just makes for a better product overall. But if you're going to try to figure out what that secret mojo is, what that juice that you put in there is, you're never going to be able to actually get it. And that's what comes down into like sites that end up being what we call pink it and shrink it. Have you heard that phrase before?
Mm-mm.
No.
It's
Oh, I get it though. Like now that you say it out loud, like, oh, I get it. Yeah.
It makes sense, right? It's you take something like the last time I used it was angry when I was using it at an employer that I had who wanted to make was financial advice software for women, and you're like, why does it need to be for women? What is it? And it's like, well, it's easier, and then they start getting this idea that in order to make something that men like into something that women like, what you really need to do is make it pink so that it's girly, make it as feminine as possible, and then make it a little easier than anything else that the guys do. And that gives you a really surface level kind of attraction, and it doesn't really work very well. You've got to have that kind of that deeper connection in order to actually get it. And I don't know that this is actually going to bring in a lot of extra women, but I'm hoping that it just gives another view of the OSR out to people who don't have that view, who I talk to so many people who don't know anything about the OSR, and when I ask them what they think it is and what they think old school gaming is, the responses they give me is basically like they think it's a game of Diablo. You create this dungeon that you go in and you kill a bunch of stuff and you get loot off of it, and there's so much more, but it's not actually being communicated to people who aren't playing the games. And if a different art presentation actually brings more people in, more women, more people who otherwise wouldn't be playing OSR games, that's a success in my book.
Yeah, absolutely. Or any games, I mean, if you can get... Wow, sorry, I heard echo. Messed me up. I'm one of those people that I tend to think that more people playing games in general is always good for gaming.
Yeah.
That's the kind of the way the tack I tend to take. And if they're playing games I want to play, that's even better. Which do tend to be the old schooly things. Boy, I think I had a point, but I lost it. I'm sorry.
Crap.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of this show, Stacy. No, I don't know, man. I got nothing.
More people playing
I'm really close to. Yeah, they're better. That's always better. More people playing the games I like means that how can the game not be better? How can the game itself not end up being a better game if more people first off are playing, more different types of people are playing? And I don't understand. I don't want to get into the like bashing folks who want things to be the same way it always has been. We all know those people are fucked anyway. I basically don't want to waste our time on that, is what I'm trying to say. Folks who are here watching the show need to, they probably, or listening to the show on the podcast, I don't want to speak for them, but I do think that our listeners are not likely to be the kind of guys that are going to resist or disagree. Maybe they do. In that case, they can really stop listening, because fuck those guys, seriously. I'll let it be known that I'll say fuck those guys, and get, if it loses me listeners, to say that I don't need you to listen to my podcast. If you don't think that this is an issue that needs your attention, needs everybody's attention, then I don't care. Those are people I don't need to be dealing with anyway. I feel like I'm talking too much. Don, jump in, save me, rescue me.
Yeah, I don't know if I can rescue I kind of agree, but I would say it more nicely, like, hey, hey, bro, there's a different way to do it. Yeah, why not be done saying things nicely? Who really cares? We're kind of a more, punk rock DIY podcast anyway, right?
Yeah. We can say fuck you on this show, and it makes sense.
Well, yeah, of course.
People expect to hear fuck you on this show.
Yeah.
Edgy, right? We're edgy. Sorry.
Yeah. Kojo was not wrong. We're edgy. As fuck. I don't have much to say. Because I'm open to shit, man.
Okay, well, let's talk about ConTessa for a little bit. Because ConTessa is a thing that I know, Stacy, that you've gotten I don't want to say, like, you've gotten some weird to me, it's really weird backlash from, like, because you've got it on both sides. Like, you've got it on, I remember, like, reading on a particular blog that I won't mention, but it's one of the more popular, OSR blogs, like, a bunch of, like, backlash of, like, oh, you don't want men to help, I can't help you at all, I can't be involved, I don't care about this thing, that's sexist if I can't help. So I know you got that, but I also know you got some, like, backlash on the opposite side. Yeah. That's the stuff I don't understand. Like on the in the feminist spectrum, how is there backlash there too?
It's a little bit like on both. There's extreme ends on both sides, and what I generally say with ConTessa is we don't take sides. We don't, we're not part of the overall war or anything that's happening. ConTessa is specifically for the women that actually want to represent gaming and who actually want to be a part of everything that we're doing. Most of the people that we have that actually come and participate at our events, they don't fall on one side. They don't game with one particular type of game or another particular type of game. They're all over the place. We have people that run all sorts of different kinds of games, and it's the backlash that I got from the feminists at the beginning was because I specifically use the word apolitical, and I use that word to describe the fact that we don't run what I call diversity panels or women in gaming panels, or we also don't run blog posts that have nothing but social commentary in them. So you'll see a lot of that in feminist critique sites and those kind of things. There's a lot of takedown articles and very kind of negative things, and I got a lot of backlash from the beginning because my opinion on those things is that they don't actually help. They actually do more to hurt than they do to help. And they actually kind of show a side of feminism and of women that I really dislike because it tends to be really mean and threatening. And I mean, I got threatened with blacklisting several times when I was initially starting, and not from men. And it was from that other side, and it was very difficult to actually get through. I did get through it, and I realized at the end of it that I'd been holding on to this apolitical tag and just as hard as I could because I didn't want anybody to think that they'd won, and that I'd actually removed it. But the reality was it was causing more heat than light. And it was at one point in time I was just like, we're going to throw this out entirely, and if we're going to be political in any way, the way that we're political is that we believe in representation. I mean, that's what's the most important thing to us is actually having that representation. That's why movies like Ghostbusters are so important to me because they've got that little girls can actually look up and see, I can do that, I can be that kind of a character. And the same thing kind of goes with gaming. I call GMing the gateway drug. And it's it's the gateway drug to designing because you start GMing, the first thing that you ever design as a GM is when you look at these rules and you're like, these rules suck, and I'm going to add some house rules right here and here and here. You're designing a game. All of a sudden you've gone from just being somebody who uses something to somebody who creates something. And I really want to get more women into that space where they feel like they're not visiting the gaming, world. That they're not just here because their boyfriend or their husband or their brother or whatever is here, but that they have a space themselves, and that space is for them to come in and they can lead their own events and they can create their own things. We have women. I guess here's some of the greatest stories at GenCon. It's so awesome. So many of the women that come to our events, they're GMing for the very first time. They've never done it before, and they choose to go to GenCon of all places.
Right.
Whoa, and go to our events. And GM for the
first
very
time
first
I ever
time.
decided to play baseball was in the World Series,
Exactly.
Yeah, that takes balls. I wouldn't have done that. There's no way I would ever have done that.
I was actually telling a few of them that too. I said I wouldn't have been able to do that. I mean, that's amazing that you felt that level of comfort with us, that you were able to come in and do this at this huge convention. And I've never had anybody come back and tell me, oh, my game was terrible. And it was just awful and nobody liked it. But we always get the opposite. This is the best game that I played in the convention. Right. Or one of our GMs got somebody said, this is how Fate should be GM'd. And they get these wonderful comments and it buoys them and it lifts them up. And then I have this year I came back and one of our GMs came in and said, last year it was the first time GMing for me, and I was a part of a lot of the ConTessa events. And this year I'm actually writing a supplement for Fate. And I was just like, that's the dream for me. That's the ideal. That's the somebody who came into one of our events, felt empowered because she led her own table and GM'd her own table. Not only went on to do even more GMing from that, but she's now actually a freelancer and she's now actually contributing more good stuff to the big pile that we all take from. And I have like so many stories like that from ConTessa events that is absolutely ridiculous. I spent a large part of GenCon choked up, I mean. And this year we had little girls. I mean, that was I mean, we had the Walls family had both of their 2 little girls co-GMing games for us. I mean, it was awesome. Yeah. So you get that kind of representation, and then I always get women coming to me saying, I just played this year, but I came in and I saw all of these other women GMing, and I think that I can do it now, and next year I'm going to come in and be a GM, and it's this we keep pushing each other and moving forward together, and that's kind of like the way that I put it in a blog post that I'm working on is we all get together and we push that needle together really, really hard, and we've actually moved it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. Keith Nelson was asking a similar, like something very much in that vein that I kind of take as being like involved in that, because I mean, like we can design games as much as we like, but if we're not running those games and showing, putting that best foot forward in this regard, having women run the games, having, games where women feel empowered, to run, and, this is me falling all over myself trying to say something simple. That helps, like maybe not as much as like a new edition of something like Swords and Wizardry, but having that space where that can happen, that time where that can happen, is just as much, just as useful, if not maybe a little more so. I don't know.
Oh,
how do you feel? Did I say anything? Was that a question? Was that a statement? I don't know.
I don't know. No.
Yeah.
No. You're doing great, Adam. You're doing great. You're doing a great job.
Don't worry about me. I'm gonna suck this fight.
I know. R.J. Thompson says, as a single father of an 8-year-old girl who wants to game, I really have an appreciation for what Stacy is doing. So here is I agree. I have a 12-year-old daughter, and she just doesn't like games. Like, she's tried it. She just doesn't. She's not into it. I don't know why. What do you? I mean, you are a girl. So let's go back. Like, I don't think I've ever how did you get into this? Because it is, I mean, most people I meet are dudes who are doing this. How did you get sucked into this world?
So I grew up in a family where fantasy was a big part of the fiction that came in and out of the house. And my mom was big into science fiction. She read a lot of Heinlein and things like that. And we watched whatever kind of weird fantasy. I mean, I don't know how old you guys actually are, but growing up in the 80s, and even the 90s, the fantasy films that we had when we started out were terrible. It was Conan, basically, and my mom was in love with Red Sonja. The movie, not the comic book. I don't think even knew the comic book existed. But and so I kind of grew up on this kind of diet of these kind of films, and I don't know if you ever. There was this it was called The Dark Tower, I think it was. This board game. Did you guys play that game?
Oh.
I loved the hell.
It's like it didn't have
It had this big tower in the middle, and you'd spin it to where you are, and then you'd make your choices, and it would do random die rolls kind of thing, and it would tell you what the little things would light up at the top to tell you what it is that you got or not. I actually looked. Those things are going for $300 on right now, but so we had that game, and I loved that game, and we did board game nights all the time, and when I was older than 12. I was probably about 14 or 15. I started essentially writing fanfic with my friends. It was about the new kids on the block.
Oh,
But what we would do
wow.
is we would take a notebook, fill it with paper, and we would just pass it to each other between classes, and each person would write a new part of the story. And if you think about it, that's just what fanfic is, and that's a little bit what play-by-post role-playing actually is. And then when I got turned, I think it was like 15 or 16, I got introduced to computers, which is really kind of where, my story took off, because I was a programmer for many years, and I was totally focused on computers. And we would go online. Was it AOL? I think it was AOL back when AOL was just text-based. You dialed in with your 300 baud modem, and you sat and you waited 10 minutes for somebody to write a sentence.
Yeah.
And there were role-playing chat rooms that I would get involved with. So when I was like, I think it was 17 or so, I was a band geek. I was in the band, and our class was immediately after lunch, and I would hang out with some of the guys that were there, and they started talking about AD&D. They played second edition AD&D at the time, was the game, before everybody decided they hated it. And they started showing me the books, and I was sucked in almost immediately, because I think largely because I had already had this lengthy exposure to what games were and what gaming was and what creating fictional worlds together was really about, and fantasy, in and of itself, through my mom and Red Sonja and stuff like that. So when I got this, it was like, ooh, I would love to play this kind of thing. And I got stuck with a bunch of guys who swore that they were going to GM and never did it. So, I finally took the reins and said, that's it, I'm going to do it. And I mean, like, really the first game that I ever GM'd, I hacked, because I decided that they were going to start out as modern characters, and I needed added a bunch of skills that would relate to what the skills were in D&D. So, that's how that started, and I've been doing it ever since then. But I think the real first gaming that I did was that fan fiction kind of stuff that I was writing back and forth with my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And girls do stuff like that all the time because they play pretend.
Right.
And that's all D&D is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really interesting point to make. I mean, it's hard to separate children as they grow up. It's hard to separate children from fiction. Children just necessarily will create fictions. I think that's an important part of intellectual development, right? I mean, just looking at it, and obviously you guys saw my little man earlier. He's not very big, but he loves stories. He loves hearing, like, interacting in that way, and I'm pretty sure that he's gonna spend a lot of time like his dad did, just making shit up. And it is interesting how, like, because we're looking at different, we tend to focus on the types of fiction a little bit more than that there is that happening, that creative process happening.
Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned like a gender divide. I mean, little girls weren't getting like the Mensa Red Box for their birthdays, That's
a big.
Great.
That's like
I never got it from a birthday.
Really big gap there. It ends up being, especially when it comes to designing.
Mm-hmm.
You've got men in the same age bracket who's had 10, 20 extra years playing these games that are going into designing them. You have women who, a lot of which come to it as adults already, and so they've already missed out on some of that formative stuff that you guys. Stuff that I don't know when you guys picked it up, but
you can say you guys, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
stuff that you guys picked up really early on, and you don't even think about now. That's that
Right.
you don't think about as part of any sort of design process, or any sort even when you're creating house rules that have actually influenced you from that early age, that a lot of women actually don't get. And so some of that is actually bringing them back up to speed, and that's hard.
Well, in that there's an up to speed to be brought to,
Right.
which is kind of unfair to start with, the fact
Right.
that there is this is where everybody else is, you got to get here.
Yeah.
That's kind of bullshit,
Yeah, and there's a mystique around designing games where it's really a hard thing to do. Where if you actually get into designing games, you're just making shit up and saying, let's roll this dice for it and see how that works. You can go into all sorts of, theories on statistical, probabilities of making, et cetera, dice rolls, but when it comes down to it, it's the beta testing that really matters, to you, that really is going to show you what exactly is going to happen. So, I mean, that's another thing that I try to do is to demystify that a little bit, to be like, because it feels like, and I hear women talk to me, and they talk to me like, I don't have a brain for design, or, that's just too hard for me to do. And I look at the kind of language that's being used in the way that we talk about game design, and it does make it sound like you need, like, a degree in game design or something like that, which I don't think might actually exist now, to be honest, but it didn't exist for a very long time, and even then it wouldn't be about designing tabletop games, it'd be about designing video games.
Right. Yeah, the ones that actually make money.
Yeah, so there's some of that, and I try to do some of that by pulling in by running design workshops and things like creating your own system, an actual workshop where you get to come in and create your own system from scratch with a group of people, which is really cool and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just loving this conversation. I don't know. It's just so much fun. I want to ask questions, but I don't know what questions to ask. Like I know Stacy asked us to, like, hey, ask me questions, and then we can keep things moving forward, because otherwise we'll just digress a bunch. Like, you answered all my questions, and now I've got like another half hour to fill. Geez, Stacy, I can't help but completely agree. I mean, I don't know. It's wonderful that you're bringing more people into the dialogue, into this conversation that we're always having about gaming, and which I think necessarily improves gaming. What about guys like Don and I, guys who are well-meaning, though perhaps slightly awkward at bringing this stuff up? I'd love it if my game groups had more ladies in them. That having been said, like some of my my friend Brooke, active player in a lot of my games. The only reason she's not in any of them right now is just because time. So the question is not like, how do you get ladies in games, because that's creepy, but more how it is a creepy question. Yeah, man, let's not ask that one. So instead, like, what? Shit, I lost it. How can we help either? Because that sounds stupid. Because it's not about us helping.
No, but it's not about us helping. But it's about advice on how, like,
how to be less awkward assholes about this stuff.
No, like. Maybe like this. Like, we aren't dicks. We aren't like, we're not like, oh, we're better because we're dudes. But we are dudes, and we're not awkward. We're kind of stupid about this shit because we don't think about it a lot, I think. So what can we do or what can our listeners do who mean well?
What do guys like us need to be thinking about?
Right.
Well, I think some of the big things are, I mean, there's always going to be a few things. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen, there's a study that's gone around recently that says that even when women are only speaking up 30% of the time in a group, men think that they're dominating the conversation. That's one kind of important statistic to think about. Another one to think about is that there was another one, and it was actually the way that they did this particular study. And studies, they aren't perfect, and they don't tell you everything, but they can kind of give you an idea of things that are going on. But this other one, it was that they took groups of 5 people, women and men together, and they had to make a decision on how to spend money. So it was exactly the same kind of decision making that's done at a gaming table. And they found out that when men were a majority of the group, women spoke up. I think it was some crazy amount, 75 or 80% less. I think it was 80% less. So you actually have women that will speak less when there are more men around. So I mean, being able to pay attention when there are women in your group, paying attention to that kind of dynamic and really closely paying attention to that thing, and it's hard to do. is important. You know, talk to her, ask her. You know, if she's being quiet, there's probably a reason why. She doesn't feel comfortable. She feels awkward. Role playing can be a really awkward thing sometimes, you know, and it can be kind of hard to get into it, and it's kind of embarrassing a little bit, you know, in the beginning. You know, like be aware of those things, and actually, you know, one of the big things that I see a lot that happens is interrupting. Like, you know, a woman will start talking and then she'll get interrupted. And men think it's okay to interrupt because you guys interrupt each other all the time and nobody gets mad at each other.
Mm.
But it isn't. It's kind of a dick thing to do, just saying. Whereas, you know, women, they'll get interrupted and then oftentimes they'll wait. You know, and women interrupt other women too, so it's not necessarily just a guy thing, but it's women do get interrupted more than men do. And so that's something to keep an eye on. You know, if you have a woman in your group that keeps trying to say something and the men keep overriding her or don't hear her, which is one that I hear a lot, you know, and because if you're nervous and you're just joining a group, you're probably going to be a little bit quieter than any other time, and not everybody pays that much attention to that, you know. Pay attention to how dynamics are going in the group, and, you know, really, you actually have to make a little bit of an effort to make sure that everybody is involved. It's so easy if you've played a lot with the same thing goes with women. You know, if you play a lot with other women, sometimes you play in a group of guys, and there's a bit of a culture shock. It's different. You know, it's a different experience. So when you have a mixed group, it's going to be a different experience than when you have, you know, an all gender group in either direction. Mm-hmm. And I think it comes from like the whole male privilege thing where guys aren't necessarily aware of it. You know, I mean, that's the whole part about privilege is it's you're not aware of actually what's happening because this is your normal life, you know, and it's not necessarily for women. So I mean, some of the big things are, you know, keeping aware of those kind of things, and nobody likes to be told how to do things right. Nobody likes to be told, and I don't. I've experienced this a lot at the table where men like to pull me aside and say, you know, you should really roll this or use that spell, or maybe you should do this or that or the other. If you're not getting asked for help, if somebody isn't actually asking you for help, don't give it. You know? Some of the worst things that have happened to me at the table tend to go along the lines of rules lawyers being rules lawyers. You know, no, actually you can't do that, or that's not how you do that, or, you know, here's how you actually do that.
That's big for everybody. It's I don't care who you are. That's bad shit.
Yeah. But, you know, keep in mind that, you know, it sucks for a lot of guys, but they will stay in a group that's got a rules lawyer in it anyways. A lot of guys will do it because they'll just put up with them, or, you know, ignore them, or, you know, do a lot of things. A woman who's first getting into a game, if she has that kind of experience, and this is another thing that I've found a lot, is that women will try OSR gaming like once, and they'll have a bad experience with it, and they won't go back to it again, and they will assume that every other experience is going to be exactly the same. And it takes a little bit of effort to get them to try, you know, and that first group that a woman gets in, if it's a good one, it'll keep her coming back, you know, and it'll keep going on and on and on. But it's got to be a good one. If it's a bad one, and it happens way too often in the OSR, especially, that it ends up being a bad one for tiny reasons, you know, reasons that you know, not the big reasons that you can think of, but for relatively small reasons. I didn't feel like I had a voice. I wasn't comfortable. You know, you're not going to have fun if you're not comfortable, or if you feel like every time you speak up, somebody talks over you, or that, you know, people talk down to you when they're talking to you, or they don't think that you know how to play the game right, and, you know, they show you. That's not a fun experience for anybody. And you get that in with a woman who's trying it for the first time. She may never, ever, ever come back after that kind of thing. And I know a lot of women who haven't. And that's hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it's keeping, you know, being aware of that there are differences in the way that men and women communicate. Not all the time, you know. Sometimes we communicate exactly the same. I'm a very direct person, and, you know, I tend to get along with guys a lot better than you know, a lot of women that I've known who aren't as direct as I am, you know. But
you have a lot in common with my wife, as we've mentioned in the past. Yeah, she's the same way. Yeah.
And it intimidates
I'm
people.
sorry. I'm terrible at the interrupting part. I'm really bad at that. Sorry.
True.
I know that about myself. I've been trying to be really good, and I failed just now. Sorry.
He interrupts me all the time.
Yeah.
You need interrupting, Doc.
If I don't interrupt, you'll just go on and on and on and on.
That's not true of Dom. Sometimes I interrupt for the good of everybody. I just have to like, all right, buddy, we're rambling here. There needs to be an end to this story. Okay, so I'm sorry, Stacy. I don't mean to cut you off. If I was cutting off, did you have a thing you wanted to finish there, or thought no? Okay, so Dan Domi asked a question. Dan is a member of. He's one of the gamers of my Iron Coast game, and he and his lovely wife, their first daughter is due soon, and Dan wants to know: is there a way, or let's I'm going to change his question just a little bit. What do you think is an effective way to encourage a daughter in gaming?
I think gaming with her. I mean, you know, there are a lot of great dads out there who spend a lot of time gaming with their daughters, and it's a really cool thing to see. You know, when you see pictures of that. But I mean, start simple, like when they're first starting to actually understand the world and understanding basic board games, create a board game together, or create a game together that's completely nonsense and that is basically pretend, but you add maybe a die roll in there or something like that to make it a game. The people that I see that do it most effectively, they start very, very young, and they play games with their kids all the time, any kind of game, and submerge them in nerd culture. I mean, that's it's something that has been kind of the province of men for a very long time, but it's not anymore, really. We're getting some really great kind of things coming up that girls can identify with. I mean, that's a big part. Like Star Wars, when I was a kid, was huge. And in order for me to actually, as a kid, pretend to play in that world, I had to create a new character altogether, because I didn't want to be Princess Leia. I wanted to be a goddamn Jedi. And and in order to do that, I had to actually create the character. But these days, we're getting more and more and more and more female representation in these kind of worlds, and in this kind of in nerd culture as a whole. That's just pulling them into it. Everything that they're interested in, like. If she gets interested in My Little Pony, create a game completely based off of My Little Pony. I mean, that to me as a little girl would have been, if my dad came to me and was like, okay, you love My Little Pony, so we're gonna sit down and we're gonna play a My Little Pony role-playing game, I would have been over the moon. So it's like, get into what she's into, and have her push that along as soon as she starts pushing it along, because I've seen it now in I think 4 or 5 families, and I'm hoping that we're trying for a child now too, and I'm kind of
congratulations.
I'm
awesome.
going to say the good mom thing and say I'll be happy either way, but secretly I really kind of want a little girl. But yeah,
congratulations. It'll be awesome. It's like, as a new dad, I fucking love it, man. It's the coolest thing I've ever done. And I don't like to take up too much podcast time with the parent talk, but you'll love it. It's too much fun. You have a blast with it.
That's awesome.
And I hope you do have a girl, because
cool.
more awesome moms are of little ladies needed. I got nothing right now. I'm sorry, guys.
It's because it's just, interesting. And my mind's just like... No, it is. My mind's just like, brrr. I gotta,
Your mind just like brr.
Brrr. The wheels are turning, Adam. I was using a...
The wheels are turning. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I see the smoke.
Yeah.
Visual cues that people
Visual
on
cues.
the internet, when this is not a visual podcast, don't know what you're doing when you just brr.
That's why I said the wheels are turning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, this is a really productive conversation. I like it. I'm really pleased with this. I'm very happy. Stacy, you're going to come here to UConn in November, which I'm very happy about. And there we go. I unplugged my headphones and
Ugh.
it's bad.
You kept talking.
I know. You never would have known if I hadn't told you, right? So when you come here, you're coming as one of the special guests or guests of honor. I don't know, some kind of magical guest.
Yeah.
And are you going to be like doing any like ConTessa style organizing for UConn, or are you just coming as yourself?
UConn is super excited to get some ConTessa involvement, and I've talked a little bit to them about doing that. And if it's as great a con as everybody keeps selling me, and I mean everybody, then it sounds like it's actually a really good place for ConTessa to make a yearly presence. So
cool.
We'll see how it goes, and it's because it's a different kind of convention. Like at GenCon, we have a big gaming night, but then we have panels all throughout the rest of them. But smaller cons tend to be more about gaming and less about paneling. So I'm kind of hoping that we can do some kind of unique ideas on how we can put together events. We're still going to talk about exactly how that's going to happen, but I've been trying to kind of brainstorm ideas that would be around a smaller con, because I love smaller con settings. It's like you get more gaming in, first of all. I don't get to game at Gen Con ever. But you get to actually game at smaller conventions.
We'll fix that. Don't worry. You guys are covered.
And it's
running, playing, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, it just smaller conventions have a different environment to them, and I really am excited to kind of get ConTessa into that, because I haven't yet gotten us into doing anything with smaller conventions. So we've got that. Yes, I know you have panels, but only a few.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking about actually running my systems design workshop, but we still have to talk about these kind of things. So right now, all of my ideas. Cool. I know I'm going to run the adventure I'm writing for the Swords and Wizardry Kickstarter, Zaya's Promise.
Cool.
It's
sweet.
It's been in development almost as long as Swords and Wizardry third printing has been in development, which I've rewritten it basically after every playtest that I've had. So I'm kind of really excited about how it's actually turned out, because it's a lot better than what it started, and I'm really excited about it. How you were talking about earlier about having consequences for certain things and like losing items and stuff like that. There's actually portions of Zaya's Promise where the I don't want to give away too much of what it is, but the entity that's controlling the thing, which is a little girl, actually has moods, different moods, and depending on what her mood is, different things might happen. And some of those things are actually you start getting your resources taken away from you. You no longer have. She steals that 50 feet of rope that you had. Now how are you going to get out of that pit? Those kind of things that I like to throw in there.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I really want to read that. Crap! It got me more excited, Stacy. Damn it. So I just read James Malashevsky's Curse Chateau, and I shouldn't talk about this for folks who haven't read it, because I don't or played it, because I don't want to give something away. But there's a mechanic that's very much fucking like that.
Nice.
So good. If you haven't read it, Stacy, you'll. It sounds like not like what you're doing, but close.
Yeah.
Fun.
I'm pretty sure the pronunciation on that is Cursed Chateau.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We established that last episode. I'm sorry. Cursed Chateau.
Cursed Chateau. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just a different way of saying cursed, or is it supposed to be a completely different?
No. Don't say it. Completely different word, apparently.
No.
Oh, okay.
You just feel these things. What sounds better? Cursed
grammar.
Chateau?
You just feel grammar.
Yeah. It's how the French say cursed.
Yes, everybody that has talked to me about UConn has been a woman, which has been awesome, because I was just pointing out some of the things that are in the thing. That's one of those things that's actually sold me a lot on UConn. Is
nice.
Yeah. If all I'm doing is talking to dudes, sometimes it feels like. Yeah.
Dudes got. So it's true.
Yeah. I know that Jeanette Quirk. Just to give the brief shout outs to those ladies who run that stuff. I know Jeanette Quirk does like a lot of the board game stuff. I'm trying to think of the lady's name who does their D plus page, and Laura Hamill or something like that.
Yeah, that
That's
sounds right.
She, you know,
Yeah, I talked to
yeah.
her.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I've never spoken to any of them, but you know, I'm aware of who they are, and they do. I mean, Jeanette runs a monthly game night at our the brewery here in town, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, that is so cool. I want to do something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about ConTessa local kind of stuff and seeing what I can do at our local game stores and stuff like that, because I've actually had a lot of people talking to me about stuff like that too. I get a lot of women coming to me asking me. I've heard this question many times too. Is every time I go to a gaming store and want to get into a game, it's all guys. How do I get more women to play? And I always tell them, you need to run games. You need to start now. Stop. You know.
Right.
Stop just being a player. Start running games, and you know, as soon as you're visible, you're going to attract other women, and they're going to come in and they're going to run games too, and it's going to be awesome. Trust me. So I actually want to enact that here in San Diego.
Wheels are turning, or is Adam frozen?
I think he's frozen.
Yeah, that's always the problem. When Adam gets frozen, all the pressure's on Don. He just can't handle it.
We could take the question earlier that I think he deleted actually, which was something about are you drunk?
Oh, me? No, I was maybe more so then than I am now. I'm good. I'm golden. I'm solid.
You've gotten less drunk since we started?
Yeah, because I sober up. I stopped drinking after the first half. You know.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you got to pace yourself, and you got to go to bed at some point. You know? it's 11 here in Michigan, so you know. Well, if Adam's gone, we're gonna have to wrap this up. Oh, he is gone. Oh crap!
I'm gone.
Pressure. I'm gonna cut that out. I'm gonna be so smooth. So, thank you for being on the show. It's a really cool episode. Yeah, this is great stuff to talk to. Once you have a daughter, you're concerned about how the world works, and I'll be honest, half of me doesn't even want her to, get into the gaming world, because there are some fossils.
Yeah.
And some hateful little pricks.
And that's like when I first started ConTessa, people kept calling it a safe space, and I was very reticent about using that term because it's like I can't guarantee safety. Right. There's no way I can guarantee safety. We don't know who all signs up for our stuff, but but the more that the women kept talking, you're like, no, you did create safety, because the people who go to ConTessa events, they know what ConTessa is about. They know what you're doing. They're here for that reason, so they don't actually start trouble. And we actually have some really, really great players that come to our events as a result. So that's one of those side effect things that kind of came out really cool. So, if your daughter decides to start getting into gaming, have her come to a ConTessa event. She'll probably love it.
Yeah. I mean, we actually do play a lot of board games, so there's that. She just doesn't really want to be an elf or a gnome or whatever
there
else.
Are other games you could try.
Yeah, there are. It's true. I've heard of these other games. I've heard tell of these other systems.
They exist. They do. They're out there.
Adam said he'll be right back. I don't know if we'll wait, because I think we're kind of at the end at this point.
It feels like it.
Yeah, right? I mean, we could talk about this for days. There's a lot of work to be done. You're doing great work. So, I mean, it's going to be awesome that you're at UConn. I hope you enjoy it. And,
I can't wait. I am so excited about UConn. I mean, it's like, now that I've got GenCon out of the way, I'm really excited. I'm really excited about, what kind of things that we're going to work on, what kind of events that we're going to have going. And I'm really excited to get into a new con. I love everything about it so far.
I'm just worried because it's so tiny, and I'm just like, it's not going to be that awesome, but it's going to be awesome.
It's gonna be awesome. I love small conventions. I mean, I really do. I think you do a lot more work at a small convention than you do at a big convention. I mean, we get it. It's like having our name brand blasted out all over the place when it's a Gen Con. But when you go to small conventions, you actually get a lot closer to the people that you're working with and you're talking to, because you have time to actually do that.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Sounds good. Oh, you're back.
Yay!
We were just
my
wrapping
power
up.
like flickered out and then.
And then went out again?
Did it just die again? Oh.
Adam, can you hear us? Oh.
And then I froze, apparently.
Yeah, and then you froze. Yeah.
Froze again.
So we were just wrapping it up. And
good for you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, taking charge.
I appreciate it. Good job.
Talk a little about
UConn
and how we could talk for days about this topic, but we don't have days. There's more work to be done, and let's do it together, people. I'm gonna start ending these things like after school specials, or more positive. I don't even know, because he's frozen again.
He is.
He is. All right, Adam. Say good night and goodbye.
I know. I keep thinking it's bad.
Yeah.
Good night, you gorgeous listeners. Thanks for being with us, Stacy. Thank you for being with us. I'll see you in November. Thank you so much for being here.
Awesome.
Don,
thank you. Yeah.
You're beautiful, man. I love you.
I know.
Should I? I'm gonna tempt fate. Can I tempt fate real quick?
I don't even know what this means.
I'm gonna tempt fate by thanking our Patreon supporters, specifically, and in no order other than the one that I'm reading down in the list. Steve Siggety, Myth Horde itself, Mighty Myth Horde, Victor Garrison, and the incomparable Tim Callahan. Thank you all for supporting us. I just want to make sure that they get their props.
Yeah,
I
totally.
don't know if they make it possible, but they make it a lot fucking easier. Thanks, guys.
For real.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. And I appreciate you guys for being here. Stacy, thanks again. I could keep thanking you all night. And Don, adios.
Adios. Or as we say in
I'm going to stop the broadcast.
Au revoir or something.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Salut.
All
right, stop the podcast.
Visual cues, Don. Visual cues.